Special request review. This afternoon, we are going to be reviewing a 2018 movie, Under the Silver Lake. Written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, starring Andrew Garfield and Elvis, I don't know, his eldest granddaughter, Riley Keough. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Doesn't matter. This is described as a surrealist neo-noir. So obviously we've been reviewing a lot of film noir, black and white. I think it's safe to say that neo-noir is in color. Love Andrew Garfield. He's a great actor. Probably the movie that I think of the most is Silence, or perhaps Hacksaw Ridge, which I believe is a Mel Gibson directed film. So this movie came out, like I said, 2018. Interesting factoid, one of my children was born in 2018, so my third child. I got many. 2 hour and 19-minute runtime, and it did tend to drag on a little bit for me. It is kind of this mystery / conspiracy theories. My buddy Jose, I think he would be interested in this movie. It's about hidden tunnels beneath Los Angeles, some sort of death cult, kind of giving me Heaven's Gate vibes. And I'm guessing, I don't know, I think he's either a writer. I don't know what the Andrew Garfield character's profession is. He kind of seems like a Cosmo Kramer, where he's just existing and nobody knows how he's surviving. But you see his financial destruction because of throughout the film. He's late on his rent. They're trying to evict him. His car gets repossessed. The film is set in 2011 in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles. Right around that time, I was doing distribution for CVS pharmacies, and so I would frequent that area quite a bit. And you watch the film, and it's all these hipsters, and you think this is surely not real life. But it is, because I've been in the circles of people like this, where they're just super hip, super trendy, partying, doing drugs all the time. It has this very bleak, hedonistic vibe throughout the whole movie. This movie is rated R for good merit. No children allowed. Stylistically, I can see the influence, and he pays homage to Alfred Hitchcock a lot. There's not a lot written on this film. I have watched, but I've never reviewed it before on this channel because I wasn't doing reviews at that time. David Robert Mitchell, probably one of his standout movies, is this horror film that came out 4 years prior in 2014. My buddy Vince had recommended it to me at the time. It's called It Follows. I thought that was an excellent film, and that movie takes place in the Detroit metropolitan area. I'd say that's at least a 4 out of 5 film for his past features. This movie had some interesting elements. I see a lot of David Lynch inspiration in this movie. Obviously, we've been going deep into the Lynch catalog, so it's fresh in the mind. There's one scene where he goes to this musical performance, and the female lead is singing into a vintage microphone set against the backdrop of a red curtain. Very David Lynch vibes. But you see a lot of Alfred Hitchcock posters in the background, so that is kind of paying homage. And at one point, the Andrew Garfield character wakes up on a gravestone of Hitchcock. So I also see a lot of very Kubrick style, Shining style cinematography shots. So there's elements of it that I really liked, and then elements were just very cheesy. Interestingly enough, one of these characters from the movie Mulholland Drive, where he goes into this Winky's diner in Mulholland Drive and sees this homeless type of person emerge from behind a dumpster and passes out. I don't know the actor's name. He's in this movie. He plays another fellow conspiracy theorist. So that element I love, where they're trying to uncover this mystery of this disappeared woman that's played by Riley Keough. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering her last name. I like that part of it. There's lots of gratuitous nudity in this film. Maybe it's just showing the hedonism of the greater Los Angeles area and kind of this soulless, empty party lifestyle scene that kind of exists in that certain area because of, again, I've been around these types of people, and it's just kind of this live for today mentality, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as it were, trying to find your place and looking for deeper meaning. And The Andrew Garfield is kind of a character. He's kind of on his last ropes financially, like I mentioned earlier. So you see his life unraveling as he's trying to unravel this mystery of this disappeared neighbor that he was peeping on with binoculars. The Andrew Garfield character, I think it's funny that his mom kind of like leaves him these voicemails and calls him on the phone recommending that he watch Turner Classic Movies, and he's just kind of living this life in Los Angeles trying to find his way and never really making it. And that's kind of, I think, a subplot. All these people trying to make it in Hollywood, these young people trying to make it in Hollywood and never really mounting to much. There's these women that are basically just female escorts, but they're really aspiring actresses. But do they ever really amount to anything more than that? So the movie had an $8 million budget. It would go on to gross $2.1 million at the box office. I do love A24 Pictures. It's just not my favorite movie that I've seen. Critics did not like this film. It had a 58% Rotten Tomatoes score average. The audience average, there wasn't really a big sampling, 500 plus. Their average was around 59%, so kind of in line with the critic average. 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Bombed at the box office. It only went on to gross $2.1 million. And it is one of those movies where I think you love it or you hate it. It just wasn't my favorite film. It was really long, and it felt like it went on a little bit too long for my taste. I liked certain aspects of it, like I already mentioned, the cinematography. I liked a lot of the homage to these other directors that I also enjoy. But it just felt super cheesy at moments. I can get into the whole conspiracy theories thing, but I wanted more. I wanted more resolution, and kind of like Lynch, it just kind of ends and you don't really have any satisfaction that I was seeking. Overall, I'm going to give this movie 3 out of 5. I'm sorry, Scott, you recommended this movie, you loved it, but it was okay. It's not a rewatch for me. I think there was some good philosophical moments there, and I'm trying to think what's the deeper meaning of this film. But there's just not a lot written about it. The Wikipedia page is very brief. That's the review. We'll see you next time.